Hey guys, this is Came for 15, joined by my Uncle Darrell, and we're back with another video on Came for 15 Talk Sports, and we're here to discuss NBA free agency about pretty much everything that's been going on, which are just free agents and then signings that have happened. Good thing that the NBA.com, they have legitimately all the free agency news that I can get on their website. So yeah, the only problem I have is when it comes to like re-signings and if you whoever free agent signings, they don't identify how much the contract is. They just say 1 year deal. So
Or they'll just say he resigns. They
yeah,
don't like they really don't like the list. And I think that's a collective bargaining thing. I'm not necessarily sure. I did a paper on it a few years ago in which the NBA itself does not like to disclose financial information of the players. It's a part of the agreement. If the player decides to do so, their agent will with certain um, um, entities with the press or the fourth estate, as it were. So the NBA won't do it.
yeah. Now some of the contracts I can vividly remember are around close to the estimate of what they're getting paid. But yeah,
Right.
that's the thing. So we're gonna just run through pretty much free agent signings and then we'll focus on the trades. But I guess the first thing I want to get out the way, which is the biggest talking point, is about this whole rumor about Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, potentially what might happen. Now, when this news first broke out, I was like working and I was absolutely shocked when I heard Kevin Durant wants to trade from the Brooklyn Nets. And this is all stemming from this Kyrie Irving situation of the Nets not really, I guess, being very committed to him. And I don't blame them for not being committed to Kyrie Irving because he was unwilling to just take a shot and play basketball for them. And he was pretty much out, and then his whole drama fest, and this goes dating back to his Cleveland days when he was this weird type of individual. Then Boston happened, then Brooklyn. That's the whole thing there. Now the thing about Kyrie, people saying he wants to get to LA. I think we can kill the rumors to the fact that he would go to the Clippers because I would not want him on the team. And with the way the Clippers have they're pretty much roster assembled, I don't think they're going to give up their depth for a guy that can maybe come back to bite them in the butt. But obviously with the Lakers, because LeBron James is always desperate to find some way to get another superstar on his help because, Russell Westbrook didn't work out like I thought it was, but the Lakers are so dang desperate to try to get out from that Russell Westbrook contract. I hope the Nets aren't stupid enough to give in to whatever stupid package the Lakers are going to give them. Because if I was the Nets, I wouldn't even entertain getting Russell Westbrook. Let the Lakers, let LeBron James and Anthony Davis settle in the bed that they did with getting Russell Westbrook, and let them be the one to deal with that. Um, but so far, it looks like Kyrie Irving might not go anywhere. There's people saying, "Oh well, apparently the trade package is somewhat freaking complete between the Lakers and the Nets." Then I'm just asking them, why don't they just pull the trigger? Clearly, the Nets are not, convinced enough by whatever package it is. And like I said, I don't know why the Nets would be stupid enough to take on Russell Westbrook. But apparently, from behind the scenes, I guess Sean Marks, the owner, or no, Joe Chisai and Sean Marks, they want to build a team that they used to have about 4 years ago before they got Durant and Irving, which is the hard, gritty Brooklyn Nets, which don't know why they want that again, but that clearly shows you where their interests lie. Um, I think Kyrie Irving might as well stay, or I think he's going to stay, and then he's going to probably dip after this year and probably go join up LeBron in Los Angeles. So yeah, which would only mean that Kevin Durant staying, and there's even rumors saying this is all facade playout thing and stuff like that to see who would gauge the market and who would be dumb enough to trade all your assets and your draft picks away for these guys. But that's just my side of the story. I don't know. Anything could happen from now into, I don't know, the start of the season.
Few things here. I think Oklahoma City taught people that you can get draft picks for superior players. if a team is willing to unload said draft picks. I mean, Oklahoma City they pretty much had a fire sale in which they, for the next, few years, have acquired about 21st rounders. Maybe it may be the number I think originally when they first got it done was like 26. So I think that's probably first and foremost on Brooklyn's mind. The problem is Lakers don't have any draft picks to trade. They don't. And another thing as well too, Kyrie does not want to be coached. He was holding private practices outside of the New Jersey Nets and Steve Nash. Kevin Durant is on record saying, we don't need a coach. That's why I'm here in New Jersey. So with all those things being said, do you honestly think anybody is going to want Kyrie Irving or Kevin Durant if they don't want to be coached? So I just don't think, coupled in with the Nets wanting probably your draft pick future, I can't fathom any scenario where a team is just going to unload a bunch of draft picks for Kevin Durant. He's 34 years old. He's probably in his last contract. He'll be 37, 38 years old when this contract is over. I can't imagine him being effective at the way he likes to play basketball on the perimeter, dancing and dribbling, things like that at the age of 37, 38 years old. I just can't imagine that. So for me, from where I sit and what I feel, I think this is his last contract. And I don't think anyone's going to go ahead and package their future on an oft-injured, and I'll say oft-injured superstar who's in the twilight of his career. Kyrie Irving, on the other hand, I mean, the dude has been a malcontent for the last few years. I mean, no one can really control him, but he's in the last year of his contract as well, too. So I think, and he wants a max. He'd be foolish not to. So he's going to want to go to someone that's going to be willing to give him the max. The thing is, don't nobody want to give him the max as his free agent potentials dwindled to just one team, the Lakers. And the Nets, let's be honest here. I mean, would you trade Kyrie Irving for Russell Westbrook? You traded one malcontent for the other one. What's the upside here? Let Kyrie Irving play his contract out. I know that does not benefit the Nets. Let Kyrie Irving play his contract out and then just say toodaloo. Because he's going to want to play for his contract. And he's going to want to play well. I think he's going to buy in for 1 year, do what the Nets need him to do, play his tail off just so he can get that max contract, whether it be from the Nets or somewhere else, it doesn't matter. He's going to want to play for that contract. So I just think both of them will be with New Jersey next year because really no one wants the headaches. This whole rumor about Kevin Durant going back to Golden State for me is ridiculous. It's ridiculous, so, and it's quiet now too. So I just think that the well is dry on their, these trade hopes for those two players. So I think they're going to be with New Jersey for at least the next year, and Kevin Durant may be there for the next 3 or 4. So,
yeah. And I'll speak more about it in the trade with Rudy Gobert, but I think the reason why teams are now backing off in this Kevin Durant thing is you have your rumors like Miami, Golden State, but there's kind of deadlock there regardless. But I'll say it now, but I'll say it when we talk about the Minnesota trade. Minnesota messed up the market stupidly by trading legitimately all those draft picks for Rudy Gobert. Because of it, you saw the Nets like, 5 draft picks for Rudy Gobert? They're making it sound like you got to give Kevin Durant up for like 15 picks.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll talk about that. But I believe after that, I believe the Timberwolves messed up the complete market for trading for maybe Kevin Durant. When if that trade doesn't happen, maybe you could at least get away with maybe 6 draft picks for him, maybe 5 at the least. Well, but
I mean, honestly, do you want to give up that many draft picks for anybody? I mean,
I would say it's better to have Kevin Durant now. I know he's always hurt and stuff like that.
Kevin's going to be around for the next 4 years. I can understand 3, maybe 4 picks, 1 pick per year, but 6, man, come on now. That's ridiculous even for Kevin Durant. And from what I understand, the Nets want your best player too.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the Phoenix was pretty much, he put Phoenix and Miami on his to-do list. So the Nets were like, and here's another thing too. It's really been an unwritten rule in the NBA, which some teams have, kind of overlooked within the last few years. You really don't trade a guy within conference. You don't want to see him. Like, for example, why would the Nets trade Kevin Durant in conference and then potentially see him 4 to 6 times a year, maybe more than that, depending on the playoffs? Why would you do that? Send him to the West. That way you'll only see him twice in the regular season. And maybe if they get to the finals, you may see him then. But I like those odds as opposed to me meeting Kevin Durant in the Western Conference Finals and he's ticked off and he plays his tail off and then outs you and then he goes to the finals. I don't want to do that. So I don't think Kevin Durant is staying in the East if he's traded. He's going West for me. So, but when they talk to Phoenix, my understanding is they asked for Devin Booker.
Yep.
And Phoenix said no. Ain't no. Ain't no no.
And then they're not even convinced enough for DeAndre Ayton either. So
no.
Yeah. That situation might DeAndre Ayton, I don't know where he's gonna go. So we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna talk about the free agents. So all the teams and stuff like that. So just regular free agents, it's just teams that willing are just signing with this said team. We're not doing any trades or anything. So to the Hawks, Aaron Holiday agreed to a 1-year deal. He's a solid role player. I think he's gonna help out. Good. Frank Kaminsky, he agrees to a 1-year deal. I think this deal, again, is another type of deal where it's like, because the whole thing with the Hawks is about John Collins. John Collins kind of wants out. Well, I guess you can get at least not on the level caliber of John Collins, but Frank Kaminsky is a solid player. I'll just say that.
I don't see him on the level of John Collins. He's definitely not on the level of John Collins financially. What John Collins is going to command on the cap is head and shoulders above what Kaminsky is going to command. So Atlanta just don't have the capital to re-sign Collins. So the best thing to do is move him. They got to move him. So signing Kaminsky, it fits a need for sure. Especially considering they lost Gallinari to the Celtics. So, but that's going to be a tough loss for them because Frank Kaminsky is not on the level of Gallinari. So that's going to be a problem for them. So, but at the same time, though, Collins is the problem, and more than likely they'll probably figure it out if they have a willing taker. But at the same time, just like I said before, I think he's going West. There's no point in trading them in the conference.
Yeah. For the Boston Celtics, my good friend Matt Formstead, who's not joining us, he's currently working right now. But Luke Cornett returned on a 2-year deal. Sam Hauser returned on a 3-year deal. They're probably just bench players. But so far, other than Malcolm Brogdon, who we'll talk about later, Danilo Gallinari, who was traded to the Spurs in the DeJounte Murray trade, he ended up getting bought out by the Spurs, and pretty much the Celtics agreed to a 2-year deal with him. Danilo Gallinari, he is fairly older, but I think he's still a very solid overall player. He's going to be a nice, plug-and-play guy. He hits threes fairly good, and he's a tall, big body. So I think he's definitely going to help out the Celtics when they just need those minutes for Jason Tatum to get some rest or Jaylen Brown to get some rest. But I think this is a solid pickup for them, and I actually like him. Danilo Garland. Oh my gosh.
Gallinari.
Yes. He used to play with the Clippers, and I did like him with the Clippers. But he's a solid player. He's definitely going to help with the Boston Celtics, and I like the deal for them.
I liked it as well, too, especially considering one of the problems with the Celtics is that they just couldn't find offense outside of Brown and Tatum. When those two were locked down, then they didn't really have a third person on the court with them that could, generate offense. Gallinari can help with that. Brogdon can help run offense, so he can get people in the right spots and things of that nature. The Celtics are gearing up for a run back. That's plain and simple. And those two players in particularly are going to be key cogs to make sure that they get that done. But yeah, I like both of those signings.
Yeah. Brooklyn Nets, speaking of the Brooklyn Nets, that's why we said it looks like they're running it back, because some of the guys they re-signed and signed, well, it looks like they're gonna bring him back. Nick Claxton, he returns on a 2-year deal. Kessler Edwards returns on a multi-year deal. Patty Mills ended up returning on a 2-year deal. Edmund Summer, he signed a deal, and then TJ Warren, he actually signed a 1-year deal with the Nets.
You said TJ Warren signed with the Nets?
TJ Warren, yeah.
That's a good signing.
Yeah.
Because you cannot come in, the Nets cannot come in the season, honestly, dependent on Kyrie Irving. You can't depend on him. Now, if he shows up and he gives you something, great. But you got to be able to have another player that can generate offense if Kyrie is not there. That's where TJ Warren comes in. Claxton is a good sign as well, too. I like that, too, especially with Drummond coming with Chicago.
Yeah. These moves pretty much seem like they must have let these players know, like, no, it's all BS. We're not trading Kyrie or Kevin. They're coming back and stuff like that. We were just testing the market to see what we were doing. Stuff like that. So,
and what good organization wouldn't test the market with their 2 best players?
Yeah.
See what the market is. If you get something, great. If not, bring everybody back.
Yeah. My only issue with what the front office was doing for the Nets is I don't know why they did not re-sign Bruce Brown, and he went to the Denver Nuggets for like 13 mil. And I know they have the money to have re-signed him. I think that's going to be actually a fairly big loss because he was actually a really good player for them.
Yeah, he was a good player. He was one of their primary on-the-ball defenders as well, too. And he was the energizer bunny for them, similar to what Peyton was for Golden State. So that's going to be a big loss, but at the same time, a great signing for the Nuggets. Nuggets, if they're healthy, can represent the West next year.
Next up, Charlotte Hornets, who are in a complete free fall, whatever's going on there, but hey, Michael Jordan runs his team the way he runs them. And
runs his team. We love Jordan as a player.
Yeah.
As a player.
Yeah. So far, free agency-wise, Cody Martin returned on a 4-year deal, but they're going to lose Miles Bridges. Well, he's going to prison pretty much.
Yeah.
He just messed up his bag. And I would not be shocked if LaMelo dips after his contract is up.
Yeah. And more importantly, they had a coach.
Yep.
He decided to stay with Golden State. Who wouldn't? So, they got some leadership issues over there in Charlotte that's going to tinker into next basketball season. Hopefully LaMelo Ball is good enough to bring him out of it, but
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah. And then they actually rehired Steve Clifford as their head coach. What?
Yeah.
I legitimately think LaMelo Ball, he's gonna dip. He's gonna go to a team. I would completely see it, and I'm not putting my Clippers bias in it. I'm just being fairly just thinking. I could definitely see it to where his dad's like, no, don't go to the Lakers if you want to come out west here to Los Angeles. They did your brother wrong, Lonzo. Go to the freaking other LA team, the Clippers. By that time,
he's got another 3 years on his contract, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I think he's an unrestricted free agent in 2024, 2025.
Yeah, I was about to say he's got at least 2 more. So the Hornets has got some time to get the right coach up in here for this guy. So I mean, I thought the coach that they had, I forgot his name. It wasn't Clifford.
Borrego.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with him because he let LaMelo do his thing. I'm assuming that there had to be other things involved with the team that's not related to basketball. The reason why he's not back, but you got to get a coach for this kid. LaMelo is special, and you got to get a coach for this kid.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on there. Michael Jordan, it doesn't even matter. Michael Jordan just gets some random Joe Schmo off on the freaking. It is what it is. They got a whole.
Stop hiring yes men. Get some guys that that are basketball knowledgeable to run the organization, and you just do a Mark Cuban and just be seen and not heard in terms of basketball. He's got to give that up, man, because obviously he's not doing very well with that franchise.
Yeah. Well, speaking about Michael Jordan, to his former team, the Chicago Bulls, my uncle's team. Some of the signings and re-signings they had, Goran Dragic actually agreed to a 1-year deal. That was actually shocking. I thought he would go to the Dallas Mavericks because he's buddies with Luka Doncic, but no. He went to the Bulls. Now, surprisingly, the one thing out of this whole thing that I guess Bull fans are pissed off is that apparently this guy's going to wear number 1, which used to be Derrick Rose's number. Not a big deal, but I can understand why Bulls fans would be upset because that guy made the number, but the Bulls haven't retired that number yet. They probably won't retire it till he retires, probably.
Yeah, why retire the number and the guy's still playing? So Dragic was a good signing, though. I did like it because Lonzo Ball's health is in the air, and he doesn't look like he's coming back anytime soon. So Dragic was a good signing.
Yeah. The next signing they had was shockingly Andre Drummond agreed to a 2-year deal. I know the one thing about my dad, he always didn't like that Tony Bradley Jr. So
no, we both didn't care for Tony Bradley Jr. But I'm 50-50 with Andre.
Mm-hmm.
We really needed a rim protector, but I do like Drummond in the sense that he can defend the paint. He can defend the paint. He can rebound. He can defend. He's not a great rim protector, but his defensive efficiency is decently. It's above average, I'll say. So Marco Simonik, who's doing very well in Summer League. We expect some really decent things out of him this year. So the Drummond signing was good. It wasn't what we as Bull fans expected in a rim protector, but the rim protectors we wanted just wanted too much money the Bulls didn't have.
Yeah. Derrick Jones Jr., he also returned on a 2-year deal. Solid wing player that helped them out. So I
good signing. We like DJJ.
Yeah. Now, obviously, so far the biggest headlines for their free agent news was Zach LaVine, of course, returned pretty much on a 5-year Supermax deal. Pretty much. Nothing indifferent. I don't feel anything indifferent. He worked his butt off to get to where he's at after all the injuries and stuff. I don't know if I would have paid him that type of money, but fine pickup for the Bulls, which keeps whatever core, which is between him and DeRozan, I guess Vujovic, still intact. But again, he was a good player. He clearly wanted to stay in Chicago and admit the rumors that he was going to go to the Lakers. The freaking Lakers always think they're getting everybody.
I don't understand. Lakers have no trade. They have nothing to trade other than Westbrook. They got nothing. So don't listen to that Lakers stuff. That's just the media wanting the Lakers to be great just so they have something to talk about. Zach LaVine, I'll say this. When we were losing, Zach was there. Now that all of a sudden we're winning, we expect Zach to go somewhere else. No, man, reward that guy for what he put into this organization. So I like the Zach signing. I think if he wasn't hindered by a knee injury, we might have seen some things a little different from the Chicago Bulls in the playoffs against Milwaukee. He wasn't 100%. Neither was Lonzo. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, now if the Bulls are healthy with all the signings that they made, they should really make a change in the shift of power in the Eastern Conference. Will they do it this year? We'll see.
Yeah, I still think the Bulls are they need DeRozan's fine as a second star, and LaVine would be, I would say, a good third star. I still think they need that number one go-to guy for the Bulls to get over the top.
Yeah, I gotta admit, you are right, and that's why a lot of people are really were singing about Durant, because in the end, when it's all said and done, LaVine and DeRozan, they're not number ones, they're number twos.
Yeah,
I mean, they really are. They're not, the guy that you can put all your hopes and dreams upon to get you to where you need to go. But unfortunately, I mean, rather than lose LaVine, pay him, man. Because I mean, what else was out there? There was no trade packages for him. The only other team that I think would have wanted him would have been the Mavericks, that might have had some type of trade value. so he can be a second fiddle in Dallas. But there wasn't very many options for trade packages for Levine, if they even entertained those packages.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's the thing about the Bulls there. So
Yep.
we'll see how
But
they'll
we'll
do
say
next year.
this: Arturas Karnisovas is doing a fantastic job. We as Bull fans really like what he's doing to shape the team where they need to go. Yes, we got some cap issues that we need to work out. That I think eventually he will work out, but I think he's doing a fantastic job.
Yep. Moving on to the next team, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Ricky Rubio returned on a 3-year deal. Raul Neto agreed to a 1-year deal. Robin Lopez actually went to the Cleveland Cavaliers on a 1-year deal as well. And so far, their biggest signing is the fact that Darius Garland agreed to a 5-year deal. So I believe he just got a max contract, which is good. He was really good for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and he was kind of the sole reason to why the Cavaliers have been really good this past season. They was actually like my shock of the team, because I never thought they would. They only made the playing game, but they had a legitimate shot to make the playoffs. I really do like what they're building in Cleveland over there.
I like what they're building too. Evan Mobley is going to be a star. So I think they really need to focus on his development, sign Garland, so then that way they got that 1-2 punch. So yeah, Cleveland is going to be really good, depending on the piece that they put around those two moving forward. That'll depend on how they evolve as a team.
Yeah. I think the only free agent from their side that's still on the market is Colin Sexton, and he still hasn't been signed yet. So
there's something going on between Cleveland and Colin Sexton that I think that no one's talking about.
Yeah.
He missed a good portion of the season last year. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah. But hey, these are good signings for Cleveland. Ricky Rubio, he's a solid point guard right then and there. So yeah, most of these deals I like. Stuff like that. All right. So for the Dallas Mavericks, we'll talk about the trade they made for Christian Wood later. But they signed JaVale McGee to a 3-year deal. That's just to replace, I guess, whatever role Boban had. Well, he didn't really play, but that was just a backup center right then and there. Unless I guess they have Christian Wood play the power forward and they put him at the starting center. I don't know what the Dallas Mavericks plan is. And then Theo Pinson returned on a 1-year deal. Again, solid moves for the Dallas Mavericks. I still don't think it's enough to help, and I don't even think Christian Wood is enough for a Luka Doncic. But that's just me.
And they lost Jalen Brunson too.
Yep.
So I think Dallas took a step back as opposed to a step forward. So, but with the emergence of Denver and your Clippers, yeah, man, Dallas, it's the same thing as always. It's just Luka.
Yeah. Going on to the Denver Nuggets, we just recently talked about this. Bruce Brown actually agreed to a 2-year deal. This is a very good pickup for the Denver Nuggets. He's a good plug and play. He's your guy that will get down, guard, probably the team's opposing best player if told to, and he'll just be that energy guy. I think that's a really good move for the Denver Nuggets. As a Clippers fan, I freaking hate that the freaking Nuggets got this guy, because I know it's going to make the Nuggets more of a problem. He can definitely help it out in the case that Michael Porter Jr., his back issue ends up flaring up again and he misses a good chunk of the season. Well, you can just have Bruce Brown come in. Now, he won't give you the scoring threat, but will give you a good defense, because Michael Porter Jr., he don't play good defense at all. But Bruce Brown will play some good defense. Velocto Kenkar agrees to a 3-year deal. Don't know who this guy is. DeAndre Jordan, he agreed to the deal. More than likely to be the backup center, which is replacing DeMarcus Cousins and stuff like that. DeAndre Jordan in his later years, he's but he's not what he used to be back in the Lob City era Clippers. If anything, he's like a bench player. I would envision that the Nuggets would rather put Bruce Brown at the 5 and just run a small ball lineup.
Yeah. I think Bruce Brown was a great signing. It replaces I don't know if you remember, but they had a player by the name of Gary Harris.
Yep.
Who was a really good defender. Um, I mean, and he could score occasionally. So, and he wasn't with the team last year. I can't remember what team that he was with, but this pretty much replaces that loss or fills that loss, that need that they had. Jamal Murray should be back. We're not necessarily sure about Michael Porter Jr., although, but if they are completely healthy, Michael Malone has got a championship team on this roster. He got a championship team in Denver, and he's a fantastic coach and motivator as well too. And these guys listen to him. Denver, watch out for them, buddy. They're going to be a challenge to your Clippers.
Yeah.
If healthy.
It just reminds me of the
if healthy. If healthy. I got to say that. They got to be healthy going into the playoffs. It's still a long season and injuries do occur, but they got to be completely 100% healthy going into the playoffs.
Yeah. Delvion Reed returned on a 2-year deal, and then Nikola Jokic, he got the Supermax 5-year extension.
That was obvious, man. They were gonna make sure they locked down that brother first.
Yeah. He's probably gonna stay there his entire career.
That's it. This is, I mean, how old is Jokic? 28?
Yeah, I think he's like mid to late 20s.
Yeah, so okay, he got another contract in the because they got him for 5, and with the way he plays, he can probably play to he can play to his late 30s.
Yeah. The Detroit Pistons, they got Kevin.
Who cares?
They got Kevin Knox to agree to a 2-year deal, and then Marvin Bagley, who was traded to the Pistons last year. Well, the Pistons are clearly high on this guy, and he returned on a 3-year deal. Solid pickups. I don't think the Pistons are going to do anything. It's just something that they got to build with Cade Cunningham and stuff like that. But we'll see what Detroit does. Hopefully they don't mess it up.
Yeah, Cade Cunningham and Sadiq Bey. Those are going to be the 2 guys they try to build around, and it's going to be a while. So it's Detroit.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
We don't.
Golden State. They lost a lot of guys this offseason, but we'll bring those up in the other teams. But the guys they re-signed Kevon Looney on a 3-year deal. He was killing in the playoffs. There was like a lot of games where he averaged like 20 rebounds a game. So of course they're gonna lock him up. He's kind of another glue guy for them. And then they also signed Dante DiVincenzo to a 2-year deal. In a way, he's probably, I guess you can say, kind of trying to resurrect his career. Again, he's a good, point guard / back. He would be a good backup option. He can shoot the 3. So in a way, he's kind of trying to resuscitate his career because he was really good for the Bucks, but then he just, after he got hurt,
he wasn't the same after he got injured.
And then he got to the Kings, didn't do anything special with the Kings, and then, in a way, he's trying to resuscitate his career. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Kings. Anyway, they lost a lot of players, man. They lost a lot of players. I'm gonna say it again. They lost a lot of players. And one of the things that made Golden State so special is the way they play offense and their depth. They had good balance from all 5 positions, and they can go small, they can go big, they can match up, they can use a big player to play guard, they can use a small player to play center. So that made them special. They're going to have some interesting holes to fill. I mean, granted, they got Wiseman coming back, and they'll probably go ahead and give Kuminga a little bit more time, but that's those guys they lost were huge, and they got to fill those roles. DiVincenzo is nowhere near what Gary Payton II was.
Yeah. Move on to the Houston Rockets. Jashawn Tate returned on a 3-year deal. I don't pay much attention to the Rockets, so okay, fine pickup for
I watched the Rockets for Kevin Porter Jr. That's it, and he ain't good enough to do anything with this team other than make him another lottery contender for the draft.
For the Indiana Pacers, another team that is looking to just be a pretty much lottery team. Yep. Jalen Smith returned on a 2-year deal,
and they lost obviously Brogdon, and they're looking to trade Turner. So,
so my Clippers, Nicholas Batum returned on a 2-year deal. Fine, glue, solid place guy. Of course, we had to have that happen. I was actually shocked that Amir Coffey returned on a 3-year deal. He's a very solid 3-and-D player, which you can either play him at the guard or more than likely he's tall enough to play a wing position. I liked him. I don't think he's going to get much playing time with the fact that our roster is completely, I guess you can say, stacked. But if guys go down like a Kawhi or a Paul George, he can fill in quite nicely. Not give you the same scoring output, but he plays good defense, and he actually has a fairly nice, effective three-point shot. John Wall, who I did make a video on about a month ago or a few weeks ago, agreed to a 2-year deal with the Clippers. In a way, he's coming here to the Clippers to resurrect his career or whatever that's left of it. I think it's another solid pickup. Only time will tell to see how he plays. Hopefully he plays good. But the one good thing is he doesn't have to be the number one option this time. He's pretty much the third option on the team, if you ask me.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Did they re-sign Hartenstein?
No, Hartenstein went to the Knicks.
That's hard. That's gonna be hard. That's gonna be hard to feel.
Yeah. That's kind of the issue. They need a backup. And the reason why is I think with John Wall, they used the taxpayer exception or the mid-level exception, which had Hartenstein dip because obviously the Knicks could offer him more than what the Clippers could.
Yeah. So I still think the Clippers are still one of the 3 best teams in the West. And that is, for me, Golden State, Denver, and the Clippers. If the Clippers are healthy and there is no relapse from Kawhi and his injury, George and his injury, Wall from all the time he spent, and when he was with Houston and the Wizards being off the roster and things of that nature, and he plays 100%, Clippers are going to be really tough.
Yeah,
really tough. So I'm looking forward to some type of playoffs with them.
Yep. We're going to go real quick because our timer is up, but we'll be back real soon, guys. Okay, yeah. Continuing on, there was one more re-signing the Clippers did. Ivica Zubac agreed to an extension. My thoughts on it, I'm fine with it. I'm kind of on and off the Zubac train. The thing I have an issue with Zubac is I still think the Lakers were stupid enough to trade him. My only issue with Zubac is he's very somewhat inconsistent. Some nights he's really good. Other nights he can be kind of a non-factor and not doing as much. And then plus the thing is he's not a skilled big. He's more of your traditional old school big. I kind of wish he had that element there, but that's kind of the thing there. I know in my Clippers group chat, we're not fans of Zubac as much as some other people are. But I'll see. Hopefully he plays consistently. That's my only issue. He can play good for one game and then the other game he doesn't even show up and stuff like that. If anything, he gets beat by his opposing center majority of the time, and it gets kind of embarrassing after a while. That's why we typically go small regardless. But it is what it is. But well, I think
I was going to say the NBA is a game of matchups, and really depending on the team that you play is how you should be able to, allot certain players to play a certain amount of minutes. Now, Tyronn Lue, unfortunately, he didn't have a slew of big men to play, Golden State when they go small and then play the Lakers when they go big, So I just think he has to make sure that they have the right complement of bigs that can do a multitude of things. And I mean, the Bulls are having that problem right now too. We have a lot of our bigs are finesse, and we don't need finesse. We don't need a finesse big. That's why we got Drummond. We need a garbage pail kind of guy. Unfortunately, Zubac he's kind of mix of both finesse and garbage. If that, so or better yet, I should say, he's a mix of a white collar worker and a blue collar worker, all wrapped into one player. So he's a mixture of both. But you got to make sure that you got to make sure you play him right and against the right teams. And I just don't think Lou has the balance and depth on his team to do what he needs to do with Zubac.
Yeah. I still think they need to resign a backup center. If anything, that's my only thing they need to resign.
Yes.
There's some
To me,
backup.
Hartenstein was key.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen them bring him back.
Yeah.
But he must have wanted some.
He wanted more money. I can't blame him. I would rather take more money than get paid $1 million, especially living in Los Angeles, how bad friggin' taxes can get and stuff like that.
Correct.
And even gas money too. I don't know how New York's gas prices are, but that's another story for another day. Yeah. But yeah, I still there's still some solid center free agent centers on the market. I think they are coming to agree to a deal with Moses Brown, I think. Dwight Howard's still on the market if they want to entertain that. These guys also just have to know when they get signed, they might not get playing time with how much depth the Clippers have, because their roster is like legitimately stacked. Because you also got to factor they also re-signed Robert Covington, and they have Norman Powell on the team as well. So they're pretty much stacked.
They have balance all the way around, which is one of the reasons why the Clippers should be one of the teams that should be in the Western Conference Finals. Yeah. So it's nice. And then on top of that, believe it or not, with the way the game is played right now, that you can put Batum at center and get away with it.
Yeah.
You know, so the Clippers do have balance. If they go with Zubac, I mean, they have other options with taller guys that can play based on the way basketball is played today and be successful.
Yeah. They also drafted Moses Diabite, who is a center. He played center at Michigan. So far, I haven't watched any summer leagues game, but so far, apparently, I guess I'm hearing good things. Good. That's all I care about.
Yep.
Okay, to the other Los Angeles team across the hall, the L-word team. The Los Angeles losers. They signed Juan Toscano Anderson, who's coming from the Warriors. I think it's a solid pickup for them. He didn't really get any playing time with the Golden State Warriors.
And he won't with LA Lakers either.
Yeah. They got Troy Brown Jr. from the Bulls, who agreed to a deal. They signed Thomas Bryant, who is a solid center. They signed Damian Jones, and then they got Lonnie Walker to a 1-year deal. My only thing about all their signings is last year they had pretty much one of the oldest rosters in the league, and they had old guys playing. Yeah. Oh, that didn't work? Let's go with the young guys this time. Yeah, and at the end of the day, it still won't work.
Right, because here's the problem with a LeBron James-led team. He runs the team. That's it. He runs the team. Doesn't matter who the head coach is. Darvin Ham, granted, we're so happy he got a position. Anytime we see an ex-player, especially that's an African-American, gets these type of positions, we're ecstatic, we're happy. However, that said, it's always a coach that he don't have to listen to. He can do whatever he wants. So what does Darvin Ham do? Well, I'm not going to try to control LeBron James. I'm going to control Westbrook. I'm going to put Westbrook here because I know I can't trade for Irvin. I'm going to put Westbrook here and I'm going to do all this stuff. So it's just a failure of leadership that, the Lakers cannot control. They built all of these things on their own. They really never been a team to build through the draft. They've always built through free agency. I think they drafted Magic Johnson, James Worthy. That's correct. But most times it's always they trade for this guy, trade for that guy, sign this guy, sign that guy. So, yeah, they were old. Getting younger is key. Lonnie Walker, I think, is going to be a good signing, though. Mm-hmm. Lonnie Walker is going to be a good signing. But other than that, yeah, come on now. They got nothing. They still can't shoot. And, they aren't physical. And you got Anthony Davis, who will probably wind up playing another 40 games, maybe 50. And you got Russell Westbrook. Enough said.
Yep.
Lakers, 35 to 40 wins.
Yep, which
I
expect them, if anything, they at least make the play-in.
Play-in. That's to me, that's the best they got.
And then we already know how everybody likes to gear up to play the Lakers anyway. So yeah.
That's correct. And as far as trading to the Lakers, no one wants to do that. No one wants to see the Lakers succeed in the NBA.
I say nobody. I rather say you don't want to see LeBron freaking get good again or be on a winning team.
It's the Lakers, and then he's a year older.
Yeah.
No one wants to see the Lakers succeed in the NBA. Mm-hmm. I mean, only the media wants the Lakers to succeed because it adds to a story. It adds to copy. You know, that's the only one. That's why they talk about it so much.
Yeah. Now, I will say I think they did pick up some good steals in Scottie Pippen Jr. and Sharif O'Neal.
If they make the team.
Yeah. They won't make the team. They won't make the team. They'll probably they may make the team, but they'll just be sitting on the bench. They won't do anything. But that's to the future.
Shaq told his son, "You stay in school." And based on the way he's played in summer league, he hasn't really played great to me.
I know Scottie Pippen Jr. He's actually been the shocker.
Yeah, Scottie Pippen Jr. has played well, which means he may find a space on the roster. Yeah. But Sharif O'Neal, I mean, he just got on that team based on name recognition.
Yeah. Yeah. And that ties to Jeannie Buzz. Oh, my dad got Shaquille. Then let me get his son.
Let me get his son. We can join him into the Lakers family. And they'll probably go ahead and bring him on board, sign him to a contract, hold up a spot for someone else.
Yeah. The only thing about Sharif O'Neal is they got to obviously monitor his heart situation because he had like a heart surgery or something with that.
Correct.
That's some serious top stuff right there. So hopefully when he plays, he's healthy.
And that was one of the reasons why Shaq wanted him to go back to school. Mm-hmm. So, because I think it was the whole health thing, but I think he wanted to cash in while the getting was good.
Yeah. The Memphis Grizzlies. Tyus Jones returned on a 2-year deal. They got John Conchar to agree to a 3-year extension. Don't know who that guy was. And then obviously they signed John Morant to a max contract, or I think either it was a max contract or super max.
I thought it was a max.
Okay. Yeah, John Morant, he signed a max contract.
193, I think.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah.
And that's a max. That's not a super max.
Yeah. He got the 5-year extension. Only thing about John Morant is he's got to stay healthy. That's great. He got his money. But now he's got to stay healthy. I still think the Memphis Grizzlies, they need a second star. I don't think Jaren Jackson is that second go-to guy. If anything, he's a third guy. I still think they need a second guy. John Morant can only do so much, and you put more pressure on him, he's going to be the second coming of Derrick Rose.
They need a definitely a second guy on the perimeter. I'll say that, second guy on the perimeter. I like Jaren Jackson Jr. But you are right. He ain't a number one. John Morant, the force that he puts on his body to do the things he needs to do, sing songs of Russell Westbrook and Derrick Rose's history of their leg injuries. So my suggestion would be work more on your jump shot, young man, and because the tempo of the game is really killing these kids' legs, especially if they're not ready for the hustle and bustle of the league.
Yeah. The Miami Heat. Caleb Martin returned on a 3-year deal. I was actually shocked that Victor Oladipo returned. I thought he would go somewhere else, but he returned on a 1-year deal. And Dwayne Dedmon returned on a 2-year deal. Again, these are some solid signings. Probably not the signings that you would think they would. They're obviously in the rumor mill about Kevin Durant, but they really can't do anything because the Nets are like, okay, then we want Bam Adebayo. But they can't do that because Bam Adebayo had a clause in his contract where they can't trade him.
Correct. Correct. Well, I mean, also they probably signed all these guys looking to package them for Durant, throw in some draft picks, throw in some expiring contracts, throw in, maybe a starter, So in the end, but they do say Miami is a really great place to play. Miami is, they have a structure there of the Pat Riley that the players appreciate, and Eric Spoelstra enforces. So is that the kind of environment for Durant based on what we've seen in how he did in Brooklyn? No, because Eric Spoelstra and Pat Riley run that, not the players.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll bring it up when we talk 76ers, but they did lose PJ Tucker. Massive loss, I think, in my eyes. So yeah.
Yep.
Milwaukee Bucks.
Hot. He's gonna be hot. I mean, a championship, a team that's really looking for a championship contender is gonna be looking for PJ Tucker.
Yeah. Milwaukee Bucks. They resigned Javion Carter, solid guard player, solid defensive player. Pat Connaughton returned on a 3-year deal. Serge Ibaka returned on a 1-year deal. I think he's fine with the role he's playing there. The guy who hurt Kawhi agreed to a 1-year deal, Joe Ingles.
He signed with Milwaukee?
Yep.
Oh, so he's not the guy. He's the guy who hurt Kawhi. And don't forget Thanasis. He re-signed with Milwaukee too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Thanasis Antetokounmpo. You know he ain't leaving his brother.
Yeah. I still gotta watch the movie.
I haven't seen the movie.
Yeah, I don't know how good it is. I do want to see.
I'm not that big of a fan to watch the movie,
but
I do like a good success story.
Wesley Matthews, he returns on a 1-year deal. Makes sense. He's found a home in Milwaukee after leaving at first and then dipping and stuff like that. And then obviously their biggest signing is Bobby Portis, returns on a 4-year deal. Like this move for them. Bobby Portis pretty much resurrected his entire career with Milwaukee. And he was one of the main reasons why they won the championship a few years back. So I like this deal for them.
I'll say this. Another good reason why they won that championship was because of PJ Tucker.
Yeah.
It was a mistake let him go. And it's one that I'm hoping Milwaukee decides to, realize and bring him back. So
well, I think he's in his older years. He's like almost 40. I think
he can still get down and defend, man. As long as you can defend. It was maybe about well before you were born. Basketball player by the name of Eddie Johnson, and he told me, he was like, if you can shoot and defend, you can find work in the NBA. And that's two things that PJ Tucker can do. He can spot up, shoot, and he can defend. So as long as he can do those two things, I think a championship contender will bring him on board.
Yep.
Chicago, are you listening? PJ Tucker.
Going on to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Shockingly enough, Kyle Anderson actually left the Memphis Grizzlies to go to the Minnesota Timberwolves, which I think that's also another huge loss for the Memphis Grizzlies right there. But he agreed to a 2-year deal. Karl-Anthony Towns got a 4-year extension. I think he got the Supermax. Bryn Forbes signed a deal with the Minnesota Timberwolves, and then Taurean Prince returns on a 2-year deal. Solid signings. Kyle Anderson, he's a solid wing player. I think it's going to replace Vanderbilt, who they traded away to the Jazz. Karl-Anthony Towns, seemingly enough, it looks like they're going to pretty much, their core is going to be around Anthony Edwards, Gobert, and Towns. But again, solid pickups. Only time will tell what the Minnesota Timberwolves do. But, we'll see how they play.
Yeah, we'll see. On paper, Minnesota looks interesting. They do. They look interesting. Now they can pop. They can pop Karl-Anthony Towns out, and he don't have too much worry about, getting down in the paint offensively. So Anthony Edwards will have another year under his belt. D'Angelo Russell is still there. So Minnesota, I think Minnesota has progressed further than Memphis, because Memphis really didn't do anything special to improve their basketball team. Minnesota did. So we'll see where that goes, see if these young bloods can, because I think they led the league in tempo, which is an important piece in the NBA now. If you can control the pace of a game, and I think Minnesota can do that, and they're young, and they got a taste of the playoffs, so now they're hungry. So yeah, I kind of like what Minnesota's doing.
Yeah. The Pelicans, their only move they made was they re-signed Zion Williamson to his max contract. Now,
Man, yeah.
it's going to be debatable to see how this goes. Again, he's got to play for this contract to be worth it. And so far in his rookie deal, it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth the draft pick because he's always been hurt or needs to find a way to get his weight under him. He says he's good to play. So the Pelicans clearly have confidence in him. I guess he'll be playing this upcoming season. No, obviously the number one thing is injuries and then managing his weight better.
Well, again, what were they going to do? You can't let a talent like him go. You can't. I mean, the guy was, if his mind is focused in the right direction and is not on that wonderful food that he finds probably on every street corner in New Orleans, that I'm pretty sure the reason why his weight got pretty high, then this guy can be an amazing talent. And now you got CJ McCollum over there, and now they got that veteran leadership and the way that they played in the playoffs. Yeah, man, I think New Orleans is another one of them teams that you got to look for. I'm not going to sit up here and say that they're going to win 50, 55 games, but they're definitely going to be in that play-in range again. And this time they might actually beat somebody.
Yeah. Next, Jalen Brunson should be given his thanks to how bad the Utah Jazz played defense because they made this guy look like he was a superstar. I still remember he was dropping dang near 30, almost 40 points on the Jazz. And when he gets to the Knicks, he's going to realize, well, at least I got the money. I may suck playing, but I got the money.
That's it. That's it. The Knicks have no players, no direction. I mean, no leadership. I mean, nothing. They got nothing. And the only thing you can come out of NBA free agency is signing a backup, a player that was on Dallas's bench, and give him starters money.
Hey, that's the Knicks right there.
Yeah. So
they also re-signed Mitchell Robinson to a 4-year deal. They got Isaiah Hartenstein to agree to a 2-year deal. I think they're paying him like $16 million. That's obviously why he left the Clippers.
Bringing those two in to shore up the painted area, I'll give the Knicks credit. Those two were good signings.
Yeah.
So the problem with the Knicks is, are they going to be able to get people out the paint? Because they still got Randall, who plays close to the paint. You got Robinson, who can't shoot, plays close to the paint. Now you got Hartenstein, who plays close to the paint. It's going to be a clogged painted area. And in today's game, that's killer for your defense because, you don't really have guys that you can extend out to the perimeter and defend the perimeter. So Knicks are going to be in some trouble long term, although those two signings specifically were good signings.
And about Hartenstein, he can shoot the three. It's not a consistent three, but he can shoot it. He did make some when
he can shoot it, but will he shoot it in enough volume?
Probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
And then the last thing is Jericho Sims agreed to a 3-year deal. The last other thing with the Knicks is the fact that there are rumors that, especially, I forgot to make a mention, that Donovan Mitchell, I guess now the Jazz are open to receiving calls about Donovan Mitchell. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell has been linked to the Knicks a lot, so there potentially could be a chance. I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe. We'll see. Right now it's just rumors. And if I'm correct, he's on the contract right now too, just like Gobert was.
Yeah.
So
but we'll talk about the Jazz when we get there. So yeah. Oklahoma City Thunder. Other than drafting Chet Holmgren, only other re-signing they did was Lou Dort. He's a solid 3-and-D player. I think he's solid.
No, he's more of a solid D player. I wouldn't call him a 3-and-D player. Dort is good defensively. He can hit the occasional three. I'll say that. But Oklahoma City, their whole thing is not about free agency. Their whole thing is about the draft and using all of those picks that they've acquired and try to hit on one or two of them. So We'll see if the kid from Gonzaga pans out. We'll see.
I just think he might need to bulk up, especially if he's going to play center.
Well, we said the same thing about Kevin Durant, too.
Yeah.
I thought Kevin Durant needed to bulk up as well, but I think he did okay. Now, I'm not comparing this guy to Durant, just saying.
Yeah.
But, at the position he'll play, he probably does need to get in the weight room and, eat some carbs or something for the first year of his playing career.
Yeah. Because I know I just remember that one game where that one Memphis Grizzlies, I forgot who his name was, but he was bullying him in the paint.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean that's really all they got to do right now anyway. Is because the way defense is set up in the NBA, I mean everyone is switching on screens now. Okay, yeah. So I mean, switch on a screen that has him playing the opposing team center. I mean, the guy's what 200 pounds soaking wet.
Yeah,
if that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, the Orlando Magic. Gary Harris actually resigned. He got a 2-year extension. Mo Bamba returned on a 2-year deal. That's actually kind of showing because
choice. He had no choice. No one wanted to give him 2 years, 20 million, 20 a year. I think was it 20 total or 20 a year?
I don't have the contract details put up, so I want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what he wanted, I think it was 2 year, 21 million is what he was asking, and no one was going to give him that.
And then Bull returned on a 2-year deal. Fine signings. Nothing to take over the top. Their only biggest thing they got was Paulo Banchero.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they really know they got something in him because they were just like, no more summer league for you, buddy. After that first game, we're good.
Yeah.
you just sit over there and just watch, and then when we get to training camp is when you get your work in.
Yeah, I think he tweaked his ankle or something. Like, yeah, no, sit down.
Yeah, sit. We don't even need to fool around with it.
Yep. PJ, okay, 76ers, Philadelphia 76ers. Looks like I'm probably going to have to start calling them the Houston 76ers because they got PJ Tucker and they got Daniel House. 2 guys who used to play with Harden. And
Daryl Morey, man.
Yep.
Daryl Morey. James Harden, he pretty much came back for a fraction of what his contract was just so he can free up funds to sign other cats. And what Daryl Morey is doing is bringing these guys from Houston.
Yep, pretty much.
Granted, I'll say those 2 particular players did very well as 3-and-D guys. And then you still got Embiid. I think the biggest problem with Embiid, as always, is physical conditioning. For whatever reason, when the playoffs roll around, he tired, he broke, something like that. He's got some kind of nagging something that's going on with him, whereas physically he can't deal with it.
Yeah. Phoenix Suns, Devin Booker, he resigned. I believe he got the Supermax. He got the extension. At the same time, he also is now on the cover of NBA 2K23, which I will not be getting because it's the exact same BS game the past how many years since 20-something?
Yeah.
Whatever.
I think I got 20 and 21, and they were the same.
Yeah. That's the same thing I say about the Madden games, the same thing I say about the FIFA games, the NHL games. I don't even play FIFA or NHL. The same thing I say about the NBA games. I gotta
admit, I love me some Madden, man. So just, watch how you talk about Madden.
I still think it's the same thing. That's why I'm hoping the new college football game, it isn't the Madden engine completely.
Oh,
that's the next sports game I'm getting for anybody who wants to know, the college football game, because that's actually going to be fun to play.
The next one I'm getting is Madden 23.
Devin Booker, okay, fine. Deserves the money after everything they paid him. But it looks like DeAndre Ayton's gonna be out of town, so it's gonna be him and Chris Paul. But apparently, it looks like I'm guessing they're interested in trying to acquire Miles Turner or something like that. So we'll see where that goes.
That'd be a good signing for them because Miles can do a lot of things that Ayton just couldn't.
Yeah,
and I don't think his basketball IQ is as high as Turner's either. So that would be a good sign if they can pull it off.
Yeah.
But Booker ain't Kobe, folks. He ain't Kobe. I don't even know why Stephen A. said that crap a couple of years ago.
Stephen A. He just does it for clicks.
Man, I I know he's a shock jock, but that's another video for another day. Booker ain't Kobe.
Yeah. Damon Lee, another former Golden State Warrior, he ended up leaving to go to Phoenix. Again, another guy that just wasn't getting much playing time. He just got playing time every now and then.
He got more in the playoffs
Yeah.
than he did the regular season over Toscano and to some extent even Otto Porter. To some extent.
Yeah. I think he's gonna be a solid pickup, solid, backup guard, shooting guard for them. Bismack Biyombo, he agreed to a new deal with the Suns, so he's returning. And then the Suns picked up a pretty fine or a solid 3-and-D player in Josh Okogie.
Yeah.
So yeah. Moving on to the Portland Trailblazers, who I'm guessing they definitely are running it back because Damian Lillard's going to sign a new contract with the Portland Trailblazers, which I'm already going to call him Bradley Beal of the West Coast because all he cares about is getting the money, but not going to a winning team. But Anfernee Simons agrees to a 4-year deal. I think they got something special in that guy. That guy's actually really good. Yusuf Nurkic returned on a 4-year deal. Drew Eubanks returned on a 1-year deal. And then they got Gary Payton Jr. to agree on a 3-year deal. Hey, he won his chip. Go get me money.
That's it. That's it. I mean, for the most part, that's how professional sports work.
Yeah.
I'll use this chip to increase my market share.
Yep. So, hey, again, I don't know what they're doing over there in Portland. They're trying to facade like it's some winning team there, but I don't think it is, and that's why I'm going to call Damian Lillard. I think he already signed his new contract. It just hasn't been updated on the website yet. But he's going to sign a new max contract or super max contract or something like that. That's why I call him the Bradley Beal of the West Coast, because he wants to stay on a pathetic basketball team instead of actually winning. And I understand the loyalty reasons. Mike Trout from my Angels is loyal when he signed his super max of a contract. I'm already telling him, get out of there, demand a trade because the Angels ain't taking you nowhere. The same thing needs to do it with Damian Lillard, but apparently he likes getting the dough. I don't blame him.
He's all, but you know what? Damian Lillard put his foot in his mouth with the whole "I'm not teaming up" thing. So this is just coming back to bite him.
Yep. Sacramento Kings. They only signed Malik Monk.
Sorry, Mike Brown. You'll be back in Golden State in about 2-3 years, but we'll keep the light on for you.
I actually think for the Lakers standpoint, I don't know why they just didn't want to pay Malik Monk. He was actually one of their better players last season for the Lakers.
LeBron James, man. LeBron James don't do youngins.
So yeah. I think Malik Monk.
I'll be shocked at the youngins they play.
I just believe Malik Monk went to the Kings because they're going to pay him more than what the Lakers are going to pay him. So yeah.
Maybe he can release out of his contract and tack on with a championship contender.
Yeah.
He's great in Golden State, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's a good 3-point shooter. So we'll see. San Antonio Spurs, they signed Gorgui Dieng to a 1-year contract. Solid big man there.
That's it.
Toronto Raptors, they re-signed Chris Boucher, who's a solid center for them, especially with what what's their coach name?
Nick Nurse.
Nick Nurse does for them. Another loss by Golden State. They lost Otto Porter Jr., who was actually fairly solid for them. They signed a 2-year deal with him, and then Thaddeus Young, he returned to the Toronto Raptors on a deal too. Again, solid pickups with the Raptors. Again,
they still don't have that number one though.
Yeah, they don't have that number one guy, but they'll always still be playoff team because Nick Nurse always has them.
As long as they got Nick Nurse will make sure they're well coached enough to get them to where they need to be. Are they going to win 50 games?
Probably. I give them 40.
Yeah, I'd probably say they're going to fool around with 500 the entire year.
Yep. The Jazz, they have not signed anybody in free agents. I know they traded for people.
Jazz are about to enter into lottery hell.
Yeah.
Because of their region, their ownership, and
their GM.
They're just tired of paying money. I'd be like, man, I got this cat making 38 million. Let me go ahead and get rid of him. I got this other cat right now. He making about 38, 39 million. No, we can't keep doing that. We need to do an OKC thing and just unload guys.
Yeah. You have to wonder if Dwayne Wade's just going to follow Donovan Mitchell and just go be the part owner of whatever new team he's going to be with.
Nah, I think Dwayne Wade is actually doing the leading over there to the point where he's like, yeah, you got to unload these cats and build from scratch. We got 5 draft picks for Gobert. Let's see if we can get the same for Mitchell. And then that way we can build on these draft picks. But we got to hit on them.
Yep. And then the last team in the league, the Washington Wizards. DeLon Wright agreed to a 2-year deal, and then Anthony Gill returned on a new deal. And then their biggest guy returned on the Supermax, Bradley effing Beal. If I ever see a meme on Twitter asking with that dumb person talking to the cat inside the glass window saying, I'm going to get you out of there, and I see, please free Bradley Beal, I'm going to absolutely not even pay any mind. I already made a tweet about this saying about this whole thing is if I see another free Bradley Beal thing, don't even bring it up. There's no point in saying free Bradley Beal. He clearly just wants to get it
now anyway. They can't free him. They just supermaxed him. I mean, in order to trade him, you have to get back the same amount of money in return. And right now, what is his contract? What,
200 something million?
225, 230 million? Who in the heck gonna give up 200 million in assets for Bradley Beal right now? He's set in stone in Washington. He's done. That's it.
Yeah, that's what I say. Don't give me this free Bradley Beal stuff. He just wants to stay in Washington, collect the check, and go about his business. So when you look at him looking all miserable, he's just doing that. I guarantee you deep down, he goes in the locker room and he's probably laughing at everybody. Look at all these dudes saying free Bradley Beal. I got my money.
Mm-hmm.
Heck, I think there's a video out there. He was talking like to these young kids. He's like, look, all that matters is this. Get the money. Get the money. That's all you matter about.
Yeah.
Now I see why. Because all he cares about is the money. He don't care about winning.
Yep.
He cares about getting the bag. I don't blame him. You getting paid $245 million just for playing a bad team? I'd do it.
Oh, that's right.
So,
yeah, I know that's right. I got me. Get yours.
Yeah. Hey, I don't blame him. He wants to set his kids up for life.
I can't hate on him because I gotta admit, if I was in the same position, we all do it. We all do. We'll say, hey, why can't you just go to the Warriors for a 1 year, $1 million, and then win you a championship? When on the other hand, you got this other team saying, hey, I'll give you 5 years, $250 million.
Yeah. And he probably likes his living arrangement he probably likes his living arrangement in DC. He probably doesn't want to leave and stuff like that.
Of course not. Of course not.
Fine.
Free agency is really based on it's a lot of factors, and the region of which you're living in is one of those factors. If that's why Minnesota has a hard time getting people, because of their region. That's why Miami, Orlando, they're attractive free agent destinations because of that region. So obviously the Washington DC area is something that attracts Bradley Beal. I'm happy for him, man. Get your money, man. Because, the NBA contract is the guarantee of all guarantees when it comes to sports contracts.
Yeah. You want to cut this video and then make a new room to freaking do the trading stuff?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll be back real quick, and then we'll end the video off with all the trades that have been happening for this free agent season, which some of them I just can't wait to talk about this Rudy Gobert stuff because, oh my God. All right, we'll see you guys in a few seconds. Okay, now we're gonna go over the trades that have happened this free agency. So, first thing I see on my phone, the Knicks dealt Alex Burks and New Orleans Noel to the Pistons. The Pistons get Burks, Noel, a 2023 second round pick, a 2026 second round pick via Minnesota or New York in cash considerations, while the Knicks got Nikola Radovic and a 2025 second round pick, which is protected. The only reason why the Knicks did this trade was to save up to create cap space. So when they signed Brunson, they had that available.
Yeah, it sounded like that was more of an expiring contract they took on their books. So, and then on top of that, get 2 high contracts off their books in Noel and Burke. So,
Yeah.
it,
I don't know if the Pistons are going to buy out Alex Burks and Noel, but if they keep him, I guess they're solid pickups.
Noel is a solid pickup. I mean, he's a really good rim protector and interior defense guy. So, Burks, on the other hand, I mean, I guess you can consider him a 3-and-D guy, but it's irrelevant trade for me.
Yeah. One of the bigger trades this free agency was the Celtics acquiring Malcolm Brogdon from the Pacers. Now the Celtics just got Malcolm Brogdon, and all they traded was Daniel Tice, Aaron Naismith, Malik Fitz, Jawan Morgan, Nick Stauskas, and a 2023 first-round pick. In other words, they legitimately traded him for a bag of paper clips.
Yeah.
As a Clippers fan, I wanted to trade for Malcolm Brogdon.
The draft, they basically traded him for a draft pick.
Yeah.
But I expect a lot of these guys to probably be released to basically, I'm talking about Daniel Tice.
Yeah.
And Tice winds up coming back to Boston in some form or fashion. So they did that a couple of years ago, in which they traded Tice or released Tice, or he wasn't on the team. Tice came with Chicago and a couple other teams, and he wound up back in Boston. I expect no different here.
Yeah. Malcolm Brogdon of the Celtics, it addresses a need that they definitely had a problem with in the finals. And that was the whole thing of, well, Marcus Smart, yeah, he's a fine, solid player, but he's more of a defensive guy. You can't have this guy being the point guard, setting up the offense.
He's not a true point. Brogdon is a true point. And when Boston needed to generate offense, Marcus Smart was not the guy to help generate that offense. Your point guard needs to be your coach on the floor. And to some extent, he was an extension of Ime Udoka, but Ime Udoka's specialty is defense. So that's why he was in. Marcus Smart was near and dear to his heart because he was his kind of player. But that's not what the Celtics needed. They needed a point guard that can run offense, and Brogdon can do that.
Yeah. Solid pickup for them. Again, they're gearing up for a rerun. Obviously, the number one thing about Malcolm Brogdon is he's got to stay healthy because he's been hurt a lot in Indiana. So that's going to be the thing there. Some of these other picks these other trades, they're nothing special. Another fairly important big trade was the Kings acquiring Kevin Huerter from the Hawks. So the Kings got Kevin Huerter, while the Kings traded out to the Hawks Justin Holiday, Maurice Harkless, and a future first-round pick. It's gonna be interesting to see how this works out. I think for the Hawks, Justin Holiday, which is funny, he's gonna be paired up with his brother again. Is gonna be another solid pickup for them. Maurice Harkless, he's actually a fairly good 3-and-D player, and they get a future first-round pick that can help out with whatever they got going on in Atlanta. As for Kevin Huerter, he's just gonna probably rot away on Sacramento, and then after,
you know what, I thought maybe Sacramento was trying to do something here, man.
Yeah.
Maybe they're trying to do something here.
But
we've already mentioned a couple players coming on with Sacramento, and we joked about Mike Brown being back with Golden State a couple of years, but it looks like they're doing something. They're bringing in some, they're bringing in, I'm not going to sit up here and say it's front line talent. I mean, but they're giving De'Aaron Fox some assistance.
Yeah, but at the same time, I can ask the question, who the hell knows what Sacramento's doing? I don't even know what they're doing.
That's true. We'll see. I'm not going to sit up here and say Sacramento's going to be in the play-in, but they're doing some stuff.
All right, let's talk about the trade that I've been referencing multiple times on this video. The Jazz sent Rudy Gobert to the Timberwolves. Now, I obviously knew Rudy Gobert was going to be traded because there is bad blood. It's like they were making this guy out to be the scapegoat out here when the entire team was the damn problem.
That's right.
The Timberwolves get Rudy Gobert. The thing the Timberwolves did to give away was this. They traded away Malik Beasley, Patrick Beverly, Leandro Bolmaro, Walker Kessler, who was the 22nd overall pick in the draft, Jared Vanderbilt, who's actually fairly underrated. They traded the 2023 first round pick, the 2025 first round pick, a 2026 pick swap, 2027 first round pick, and the 2029 first round pick, which is protected.
Okay. I know that doesn't sit well with you, but hear me out for just a second. The Minnesota Timberwolves are very young. And to continue adding more youth to an already young basketball team can be a detriment to a young basketball team. So what you do is that you add a couple of veteran guys to these young players, and you develop them. You're going to develop Russell. You're going to develop Anthony Edwards. You're going to continue to develop Cat. And you do have Gobert, so he can develop along with them. And you do have a lot of pieces in Minnesota, so that these young guys can develop. These draft picks that they gave away, they probably wouldn't have needed them anyway. So it's basically it's not really 5 draft picks. It's 4 draft picks, and you're going to swap one. So they'll still have the swap. What was it, 26 or 27?
26. Yeah,
they'll still have the swap. So, and that pick is good, because what's going to wind up happening is, I'm sure if that pick is a lottery pick, they can't swap. Which it may not be, but if it's outside the lottery, I'm pretty sure Minnesota's going to swap with it. So it's, giving up the draft picks is one thing, but when you have old guys, yeah, that's stupid. But when you got a slew full of young guys, yeah, them draft picks aren't as valuable with a bunch of young players that you have to develop, as opposed to a bunch of old players you're just trying to get rid of.
My only issue with the trade is, I'm fine if they wanted to trade for Rudy Gobert. I'm perfectly fine. I don't think Rudy Gobert is worth 5 picks to trade him away.
Keep in mind now, it's about the money. Gobert is set to make $38 million next year. So the way the NBA trade work is, you're not really trading this player for that player. You're trading this salary for this salary, this salary for this salary. And you have to come within, I think, 20%, 15 to 20% of what that player makes. So if Gobert makes $38 million next year, then you pretty much have to trade roughly about 38 of that 30 million to the team, whether it's an expiring contract or draft picks or what have you. But that's how that math works. So it's just one of those things. That's how the NBA trade machine works. It has to work in line with the salary cap, and they had to give up a lot, and draft picks were a part of it if you really wanted that player.
We'll see how the Timberwolves do. I'll say this: I think the one player in this on this trade that maybe could hurt the Timberwolves, I've already experienced with my Clippers. They don't have as good as of defensive intensity like they used to, but it's Patrick Beverley. Patrick Beverley is another energy type of guy that he's just going to be up in your face. He's going to be that motivator for these guys, and I think he was really integral to this Timberwolves team, this young Timberwolves team being like kind of a defensive focused team and being in games. I think losing that energy will affect them a lot. I know Rudy Gobert is a great defender himself, but I don't think he's that vocal leader type of guy like Patrick Beverley.
Maybe. However, Beverley is at the age right now, whereas I'm pretty sure he's ready to play for a contender.
Yeah.
So Utah,
I think he's going to get bought out. I think he's going to get bought out.
He'll probably either get bought out, released, or what have you, and then he'll have his pick of the litter where he wants to go. Now, if he resigns with Minnesota, beautiful, great, everything is kismet. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with him, and then on top of that, the climate in Utah is, it's just not conducive to a successful basketball team because of, the way that market is run.
Yeah.
So we'll see, man.
Yeah, I think Utah's blowing it up because they got rid of O'Neal and they traded Gobert. There's rumors that they might trade Donovan Mitchell, so you might as well get him and Bogdanovich up out of town and just rebuild the team.
I mean, they tried. They had some really good seasons. You know, the coach is no longer there, so they're pretty much blowing it all up. So they're interested, and they've already let you know, if you got draft picks, we got Donovan Mitchell. Get at me.
Yeah. Another fairly big trade was the Pistons trading Jeremy Grant to the Trailblazers. They got Jeremy Grant and Ishmael Kamagate, which was the 46th pick in the draft. The Pistons ended up getting Gabriel Procida, the number 36 overall pick, a 2025 first-round pick that's from Milwaukee, 2025 second-round pick, and a 2026 second-round pick. The thing is, with this trade, it will give the Portland Trailblazers a nice wing player. Grant definitely did improve his play style after leaving the Denver Nuggets. He was kind of the main guy in Detroit, to be honest. This trade, like I said, I know we talked badly about the Portland Trailblazers. At least I'll say this. The Portland Trailblazers could be a playing team with this trade.
Could be. So. I mean, but keep in mind now, they have to generate about 20 points of offense if they lost when CJ McCollum left the team or traded from the team or whatever. So, I mean, can they generate that kind of offense with Grant? I don't know. Jeremy Grant is a 20 to 25 point a game player. So they need to generate some offense from somewhere. Yeah. And the way it's setting up is that they're going to lean heavily on Damian Lillard to, so it wouldn't shock me if he winds up leading the league in scoring this year.
Yeah. Next trade, the Nuggets got Caldwell Pope from the Wizards. So the Nuggets in this trade ended up getting Kentavious Caldwell Pope, a solid 3-and-D player. They got Ish Smith. He's a fine point guard player. And the Wizards ended up getting Will Barton and Monte Morris. Again, two solid players. Don't know. I don't really have any thoughts. I think it's kind of this trade kind of evens each other out, to be honest.
It does. The only thing that I think that Will Barton, a lot of people, had called him a professional scorer, where there are times in which I saw that there are times in which he was just really passive when it came to scoring the basketball. So that could have been a Mike Malone thing, whereas now, maybe he'll get that freedom to score as much as he wants. So, Pope is a really good 3-and-D guy. And I like Ish Smith. I like Ish to come off the bench and back up. Monte Morris, when he was starting, I think he got that big head to thinking he can pretty much, be a starter no matter where he goes. So, and he was okay with the Nuggets, but Jamal Murray coming back, and they can't have that mentality coming off the bench.
That's solid trade for both teams.
Solid trade. Good trade. I mean, it's, is it going to win either team a chip? We'll see.
Another fairly big trade that was actually pretty much hype way even before this, the trade, the free agency happened. That's DeJounte Murray being traded from the Spurs to the Hawks. The Hawks got DeJounte Murray and Jock Landale, while the Spurs ended up getting Danilo Gallinari, who was later bought out, and then went to the Celtics. But the Spurs, mostly, they got picks out of this, which is the 2023 first-round pick, which is via Charlotte from New York, and that's protected. A 2025 first-round pick, a 2026 pick swap, and then a 2027 first-round pick. I think for the Hawks, again, with whatever they're building over there, DeJounte Murray, he's a good, really, really good point guard. He's definitely underrated. He didn't get a lot of spotlight because he was in San Antonio, and they weren't really doing as well. But he's definitely going to take the ball out of Trae Young's hands and make Trae Young more of an off-ball player, which definitely will help them. And DeJounte Murray can score. He can't hit like threes like Trae Young, but he can definitely drive, kick, set up assists. He's pretty much, again, another ideal point guard that they could use.
I think they're going to use him in Atlanta similar to how Draymond Green is used in Golden State. Let Trae Young run off screens, and it'll be DeJounte Murray's responsibility to find Trae Young running off set screen, just similar to how they do Curry and Trae and Thompson in Golden State. So Bogdanovich and Smith, I'm sorry, Bogdanovich and Young running off screens. DeJounte Murray just found them. Yeah. So it was a good trade, solid trade. San Antonio is definitely telling everybody they're rebuilding. Yeah. I don't think they have any other assets to trade. So I think this is pretty much the lottery for them in the foreseeable future, which Coach Pop probably is just like, man, I'm tired of developing players. Let me just go up to the front office and let somebody else handle this coaching thing. The writing is on the wall for me.
Yeah. Isn't that one girl that's still there? Becky.
No, Becky Hammond. Becky Hammond is in the WNBA, I think.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure we can find out, but I think she's WNBA now.
Okay, because I ultimately believe that she was probably going to be the new head coach with the
I thought they were grooming her to replace Pop too.
Yeah.
Which still could happen because the same ownership group that owns the Spurs is the same ownership group that owns the WNBA San Antonio team. So I'm not necessarily sure. As a matter of fact, we can look. Becky Hammond. Yeah, she's the Las Vegas Aces head coach.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe she got sick and tired of waiting.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of gonna be just the next big move for the Spurs is when.
But who knows, man? They were grooming her to replace Pop, so she could potentially leave. So. And because I gotta admit, that is, if we're talking about something that's gonna make headlines in the NBA, the first female head coach in the NBA. Well, I think first female head coach. I don't think there has been one.
Yeah.
She definitely, it definitely would be groundbreaking. She'd be a pioneer for a lot of other women.
Yeah. Next trade, which was one of the first trades to happen, and that was Jazz trading Royce O'Neal to the Nets for a first-round pick. Don't think Royce O'Neal was worth a first-round pick.
They traded Royce O'Neal. The Nets gave up a first-round pick for Royce O'Neal. Sean Marks is off his rocker.
That's why nobody knows what's going on.
He must be desperate. He must be desperate to please Irvin and Durant because he let Brown go, so he had to get somebody else. Yeah. That's the only thing.
I think this is even before Brown went.
Really?
Yeah.
That could be the reason why Brown left. Who knows? But a first rounder for Royce O'Neal.
I don't know that. Yeah. That was probably so far. I think out of all the trades on this list, that was probably the one dumbest move.
Yeah, that's the one that's got me scratching my head. I mean,
yeah. Like I can understand if it's a second or a third round pick or something like that. Bro, it's just a second round pick.
The NBA don't do third rounders anymore.
Second round pick. My bad.
Second and an expiring contract.
Yeah.
But a straight up first round pick, and the Nets will probably be middle of the pack. Maybe. When you got Kyrie on a 1-year contract and you're just like, hey man, if you want to max from us, you better ball out. I'm pretty sure there's something that they're going to have to tell them.
Yeah.
And if you don't ball out, I'm not bringing you back.
And if you ask me, I think Royce O'Neal is kind of an overrated defender.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I still remember when the Clippers that year in the playoffs, they played them in the playoffs and Kawhi went out. That man was talking big game. And then what happened? Nothing.
Poke the bear bites you.
Okay, we referenced this trade earlier. Mavericks completed the trade for Christian Wood. The Mavericks traded Christian Wood. The Rockets got Wendell Moore, which was the 26th overall pick in the draft, Sterling Brown, Marquise Chris, Boban Marjanovic, and Trey Burke. We made a reference earlier that we don't think Christian Wood takes them over the top. I think he's a solid player. He's not. People hype him up like he's like a legit like star player, but he's
He
not
is
that.
not. He is not a number two to Luka Doncic. He's just a really good, solid 3-and-D guy that they'll run pick and roll with. A really good pick and pop player, and who can rim protect a little bit.
Yeah. And then again, he's another guy that doesn't really play defense. So
Correct.
Yeah, that's fine. Some of these players that the Mavericks traded away, they're nothing special. They weren't getting minutes.
They knew what they were doing when they let Jalen Brunson go. They were like, dude, we can find somebody like you. I was just like, come on, man. We're not about to give you $20 million. Have you bumped your head somewhere? So go ahead. Go get your money. But
yeah.
We trying to go get a championship. Unfortunately, what they tried to bring in after that doesn't make them championship contender.
Yeah. There was a 3-team deal between the Pistons, Hornets, and Knicks. The Pistons got Jalen Duren, who was the number 13 overall pick. Kemba Walker actually went to the Pistons, but I think he's going to get bought out. The Hornets got a 2023 first-round pick from Denver that was via Oklahoma City and New York, a 2023 second-round pick via New York, 2023 second-round pick via Utah, 2023 second-round pick most favorable of either Dallas/Miami, 2024 second-round pick via New York, and the Knicks got a future first-round pick. Only big thing, and the reason why I made this reference is because Kemba Walker, man, he really hasn't. He's had a fall from grace. Let's just say that. I don't think really any team's interested in having Kemba Walker because he's kind of just damaged goods.
Yeah.
He had a good few years in Charlotte, went to Boston, had I think one good year, and then he got hurt the second year, and then he went to his home state in New York, but since then, he hasn't done nothing.
And then on top of that, Thibodeau is he's not a coach that accepts, half-assing. If I'm sorry about my French, but he's not a coach that accepts that kind of stuff. And Kemba only played on one end of the court.
Yeah.
And that's not what you do with Thibodeau. So, but for me, the key in this whole trade is Jalen Duren, the center out of Memphis. When you look at the guy, when you look at him, it's just like, dude, man, Ben Wallace. Oh my goodness gracious, this dude is ripped from the rooter to the tutor. So I think he's going to be really solid, and hopefully that the kid gets some shine, because I think physically he's good to go as an NBA basketball player. But I think the key was Jalen Duren, not necessarily Kemba Walker.
Yeah. Nuggets, they ended up trading JaMychal Green to the Thunder for some picks. The Thunder got JaMychal Green and a 2027 first-round pick, which is protected. Don't know why the Nuggets did that, but okay.
You mean to tell me the Thunder traded picks?
Yeah, they traded 2 future second-round picks, and they traded the number 30th pick, which was Peyton Watson, to the Nuggets.
That's a shocker because, it's second round, so OKC don't do seconds. OKC does first. So they're like, if you got a first, we'll take it. But if you asking for a first, you can kick rocks.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Thunder's the 2027 first round pick, that's protected.
Yeah, that's highly protected. Yeah,
So I think JaMychal Green gonna probably get bought out by the Thunder. He's gonna probably go to a contending team because why not? JaMychal Green, I think he's a solid player. Another one of a former Clippers player I wish got more play time when Doc Rivers was still the coach, but he's a solid 3-and-D guy. He's definitely a guy that will get down and dirty for stuff like that. So any contending team should definitely pick up JaMychal Green. He's not as good as PJ Tucker, but he's another solid, type of player like that.
He's a really good 3-and-D guy. You won't expect him to, beat anybody off the dribble, but he could hit the occasional 3 when he spots up. And he's big enough whereas he can probably guard anywhere from 3 to 4 positions.
Yeah. The 76ers, they ended up trading the number 23 overall pick to the Grizzlies. The 76ers actually got DeAnthony Melton back. Solid backup point guard they can have there behind either Harden or Tyrese Maxey. And then the Grizzlies got David Roddy, who was the number 23 overall pick, and they also got Danny Green, another solid 3-and-D player. So that's going to be a solid pickup for the Grizzlies as well.
Yeah. I mean, a bunch of other 3-and-D guys. I mean, granted, it's not what Memphis needs. You know, I think Memphis could use another guy that could beat somebody off the dribble instead of Ja Morant. But, you know, I think Danny Green is going to be a big help to them in their push to become championship ready.
Yeah.
And he's got rings, so he'll definitely have the ear of that young group once he walks through the door.
Yeah. But other than that, most of the other trades were just kind of just things that are happening during the draft. But that's kind of it. In terms of other NBA news, the only other dominoes that probably have left to drop is this Miles Turner / DeAndre Ayton situation with whatever's going on with that. Clearly, DeAndre Ayton, I already knew this after the Phoenix Suns lost to Dallas Mavericks. They kind of also made him the scapegoat in a way of like, oh no, you're the problem and stuff like that. Which, and then plus they weren't willing to pay him the money he wanted to get paid.
Oh no.
So he was like, well, fine, I'll just leave town. But it seems like they're trying to do something with a sign and trade. Don't know where he would be going, but there's some places going so far. I think the highest they say is maybe doing a sign and trade for Miles Turner. That's the only thing they could do.
Maybe, but Indiana would have to agree to the terms of the contract that they sign him to. So, so that's how that'll work. So if he agrees to the terms that Indiana wants, as far as a contract, 3, 4, 5 year, what have you, then yeah, they'll go ahead and make the deal. But
and the only other domino we're waiting to see is if Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving actually do get traded. I don't think they are.
I don't think they're going anywhere.
Who knows? Crazier things can happen. It's the NBA.
I don't think they're going anywhere. I mean, a lot of times it's just, you know, the media just throwing out nonsense just to generate conversation. I don't think Kevin Durant's going anywhere. I'm pretty sure that with the way Kyrie acted over the past 3 or 4 seasons, nobody wants him either. No one wants that drama.
Yeah.
I mean, no one does. Guy's an amazing talent, but no one wants that drama. So I can honestly see them in New Jersey next year. They tell Kyrie Irving, listen here, if you want a max contract from us, you better ball out. You don't ball out, we're going to let you go.
Yeah. Anyways, that's kind of it for our free agency talk. That's everything NBA free agency I could give you or what we can give you. If there's any crazy things that happen, then I'll definitely make a video about it on my own time and stuff like that. But, you know, that's kind of it. So if you guys like the video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts on all the moves we talked about in this video. Do you like some
Bulls and Clippers in the finals?
Oh, but you said Boston Clippers in the finals?
Bulls, Clippers in the finals. That would just jack your household up.
Yeah. It would. Hit the subscribe button to Camfrey 15 Talk Sports as we talk all the sports on the channel. We talk college football when the time will come, NFL football, which I recently did 2 videos talking about Baker Mayfield being traded over to the Panthers. I don't think highly of it. I don't think it's anything special. But if you want to get my full thoughts, check that out. I also talked about today that also went on. No, I don't know when this video is going to go up on July 13th. Talk about the Bears getting N'Keal Harry. My thoughts on that. Talk other NBA basketball, mostly Clippers and stuff like that. I want to be more committed to my Clippers content and stuff like that, but we'll also talk general NBA stuff. But the regular season's kind of.
You'll be committed to the Clippers a lot this coming season.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
So, yeah. NBA wise, as a whole, I guess maybe every now and then, but the regular season's so pointless that what's there to talk about?
The regular season.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Regular season, just
yes, it's wonderful.
Maybe like a monthly recap of what's going on in the freaking.
Okay, yeah. I mean, a monthly recap we can do.
Yeah. You know, and then MLB, I might need to just cut that out of my thing.
Yeah, we might have Cubs and Angels. Yeah, just stop.
Yeah. So yeah. I don't need to talk about them and stuff like that. But like I said, NFL stuff. We're gonna get deep into NFL when it starts to pick up. It's nothing's going on now about NFL. And then, like I said, Chicago Bears stuff. The only thing we can wait for is probably just Chicago Bears season predictions, which will be taking place after the preseason games and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
other than that, that's kind of it. So if you guys like the video, leave a like. Catch you guys later. Stay safe out there. Peace.